Okay, guys, so we're going to go ahead and jump into example 2 now. So go ahead and pause the video, give it your best shot, and then come on back.
A few moments later.
Okay, so the first column, they just give us a percent, okay? They give us 350%. All right, and so now from this percent, we have to turn it into a fraction in simplest form, reduced simplest form, as well as a decimal. Okay. So let's go ahead and just do the very first thing, right? 350% means 350 out of 100. Okay, so 350 out of 100. So boom, we have a fraction, but alas, it is not in its reduced form. So we are going to have to do that. The first thing I can see is we have a 350 and a 100. Both have a 0. So they're both divisible by 10, so we can just get rid of that. And we have 35 over 10. Okay. Let's see. 35 and a 10, so they're both divisible by 5. Great. Divided by 5, divided by 5. 35 divided by 5 is 7. 10 divided by 5 is 2. And we get 7 halves, or 7 over 2. And that's perfect for your fraction. Just for fun, let's go ahead and turn it into a mixed number. Okay. So 2 goes into 7 3 times. And there is 1 left over. So we have 3.5. Okay, so either of these are fine. 7 over 2 or 3 1/2. Both perfectly acceptable. All right, so now let's do the decimal. 350%, so 350. The decimal is right there. So like we said, we're moving the decimal over 2 places. So we end up with 3.500 if we want. Okay, guys. So the next example, they give us the decimal. All right. So they give us 0.025, and I think that it's probably easiest to just go right to the percentage. So we said that going from a percent to a decimal, well, that's dividing by 100. So we move the decimal 2 places to the left. Well, going from a decimal to a percent now, we are multiplying by 100. So we need to take the decimal and move it 2 places to the right this time. So we end up with 2.5%. Great. Okay, so now converting this to a fraction, well, there's a bunch of different ways that we can do this. We could have started with the percent, right? And so 2.5% is 2.5 out of 100. Well, then we have to do a bunch of stuff because we have a decimal there. But instead, what we could do is just, well, so what place is the last? So what we could do is just look at what decimal place is the last digit in. And so the last digit is this 5. So we have tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Okay, so this number is 25 thousandths. So we can just go ahead and write that as 25 over 1,000. Okay, great. The numerator ends in 5. The denominator ends in 0. So we can divide them both by 5. Okay, 25 divided by 5 is 5. And 1,000 divided by 5 is 200. Again, we've got a numerator that ends in 5 and a denominator that ends in 0. So they are both, again, divisible by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. And 200 divided by 5 is 40. Okay. Okay, so the last one, well, this one's going to give us the fraction. Okay, it's going to give us 1/8. Okay, and so in this one, we are going to see what it's like when our denominator is not a factor of 100. Okay, so how we've been going about this is sort of we've been looking at, we're saying, well, 1/8 is the same thing as what out of 100, right? Even though we may have been doing this in our heads previously, we really have just been solving, this equation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and replace my question mark with a variable, and I'm going to cross multiply so that we can solve this equation. Okay, so 1 times 100 is 100. 8 times x is 8x. Okay, we need to get the x by itself, so we have to get rid of the 8. We have 8 times x, so the opposite of multiplication is division, so we're going to divide both sides by 8. Okay. And so on the right side we get x. On the left, though, we're not going to get an integer. What we get is 12.5. Okay? So, cool. We've solved our equation, so we know now that 1/8 is equal to 12.5 over 100. Or out of 100. And so now that we know what 1/8 is out of 100, well, we know the percentage, so the percentage is 12.5%. Okay? But to figure out the decimal, well, we can go back up to this sort of ugly fraction we have, right? Because it's got a decimal in it. We don't like fractions that have decimals in it. But that's okay. We can use the same trick we did last time. We can multiply top and bottom by 10. So on top we get 125. On bottom we get 1,000. So we have 125 thousandths, which is just 0.125.